Texas Tech football coach Joey McGuire with me, David Smoak on 365 Sports. Texas Tech Saturday night at home against Baylor. Does this game mean anything more to you than anyone else you've played this year?
The one thing that I told the team today, because we practiced today, and I told them, I said, it can't. It's got to be that we're focusing on being 1-0, and it's our next opponent. That's what we try to do. Whenever you start doing that, you get out of whack with what you're trying to do as a program and what you're trying to build. So we're going to really focus on just being the best versions of ourselves, and we've played well at home, and see if we can do it again.
So last year when this team, Texas Tech, of course, played Baylor, it was in Waco. I remember I texted you late in the week. I said, where are you going to be? And you said, probably as far away as I can be, because it was still kind of awkward and strange of where you were and what you could do or not. And so now you're in the game. You're playing against the team you used to coach for. Is that different?
There's going to be, I'm coaching against some of my great friends. I mean, I love Sean Bell and David Wetzel. Those are my guys, and, that staff. I mean, I usually shoot them a text, a lot of them after they win. And, as soon as I got off the field when we beat Texas, I had a bunch of texts from that staff. And so, that's a little different. And then, the majority of that roster I was a part of in some way or another recruiting, and so those guys, I love those kids, and they're such great kids. I know that's going to be a little bit different looking across the field and seeing them, playing against them.
What has surprised you the most about your team this year?
I think, a couple things. The buy-in, they bought in really, really quick. And then, we it's not always pretty, but, our guys fight really hard. They play really hard. There's been times, especially on the road that we could have that the games could have got out of hand, but we didn't allow it to, and really actually fought back. We should have had a 3-point lead in the fourth quarter against K-State, and we were up at half against Oklahoma State. And so, these guys, they really come out and they play really hard.
So you spoke about a couple of teams you've played, and actually 2 or 3 or 4, and now you have Baylor. When you look at the Big 12, and you've been a part of it long enough, and you were around it because they used to recruit when you were in high school, but at coaching Cedar Hill, is this as deep as it's been, this conference right now?
Yeah, it really is, and there's a couple of reasons. I mean, I think the level of coaching is really good in the Big 12, but you're also looking at. I mean, I think COVID has a big effect on it too. I mean, whenever I look at Baylor's roster and knowing these guys, I mean, they got an old group. They got with Khalil back this week. 4 of their 5 O-linemen, normally would not be playing college football. I think Ben Sims is a fifth-year guy. He would be, but you're talking about some guys that have played a lot of football and started a lot of football on that team, and on both sides of the ball, at linebacker and in the trenches. I mean, I know there's some youth in the skill, and but shoot, I remember. Christian Morgan is a freshman blocking a punt, in 2018, I think. And I think it was 2018. Yeah, 2018, and JaMychal Hastings scooping and scoring. So there's a lot of old guys on that team, and it's like what we played. I mean, I think when we played Oklahoma State, their 4 defensive linemen normally wouldn't be in college. So you're playing older guys, and I think that's what's creating some really good depth in the Big 12.
Has that also helped you?
It has. I mean, we're really young on offense. We'll have everybody back, minus maybe one that will declare, but we'll have everybody back. And then defensively, we have some guys. I think our defensive end will declare for the draft, and we have we got a safety and 2 linebackers that, they normally wouldn't be in college football. So it has where we're not. Where we're really not as old, especially on the offensive line. We're pretty young. We start a lot of young guys, and trying to grow them up. And the last 2 weeks, we tried to go as fast as humanly possible and tempo the last two teams we played, and that helped the offensive line a lot.
Your quarterback room, we had discussed it with you during Big 12 Media Days with Shuck and then Donovan Smith, which we saw a glimpse of last year, and then, of course, this young man that looks really, really impressive in Baron Morton. You probably didn't know if you'd have to use all three, but again, all three could play, and they've proven that. And Baron now has stepped up and is the guy. Is he your guy?
We should get the okay for Shuck tomorrow. In fact, we're going to we'll probably be as healthy as we've been all year long, coming into that game. But saying that, I mean, our plan is to play all three of them, in some way or another. I mean, they all do things that give us a chance to win, and they're all three playmakers. So our expectation is to play all three of them.
Joe, you saw Blake Chapin, but mainly it was Gary Bohannon's team, and of course a couple of times when you were there, it was 3 years, it was Charlie Brewer's team. And there was some guys that came in, transferred in, and it was Charlie took over. And then that was obviously a transition. What did you see, though, with Blake, who had the spectacular Big 12 championship game? He's now the quarterback. What did you see when you watched him in practice every day?
He has a lot of I don't know if the right words, moxie or what. I mean, like the dude, he's got something about him that's different. He's got a lot of confidence. Being a baseball player or a former baseball player, I mean, he can throw the ball at different arm angles. He's got a strong arm. He's got a quick release. I love Blake. I mean, he and Garrett were really close. Garrett hosted him whenever he came on his official visit, and man, just a really good kid. Man, he's a tough kid. I hated to see him go out against West Virginia. I think possibly that would have been probably a different outcome if he doesn't go out. But man, he's a great kid, tough competitor. I love everything about that kid.
Have you talked to Matt Rule? He and I have traded two or three times in the last week. Have you talked to him since the decision was made in Carolina?
Yeah, I sent him a text when it happened, and then I talked to him for a good while the next day, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to Cape May for a few days to decompress," and he said, "I'm gonna pick one of your games to come to." So, he might be here this weekend. If not, it'll be Kansas or Oklahoma. And, I talk to him all the time. And he's one of my mentors, and, he's a big help. And so I wish the best for him. I'm hoping that he doesn't sit out a year. I hope he gets back into college football, because I think he'll make somebody a really good, really, really good coach.
How did that affect Garrett?
It was tough, it was really tough from the standpoint he loves Coach. And, I just told him, I said, man, this is the nature of the business, and it's a tough business. And I said, but there's guys on that staff that are going to get other jobs that are going to be looking, what do you do every day whenever you walk into the building? Are you working your tail off and having a great attitude, or the other way around? And I said, if it's the other way around, man, then you're going to get a bad reputation. So you got to go to work. He was fired up that they won today. I know that on our family group text. He was really excited.
You seem to be, and you've always been such an incredibly energetic, positive, happy guy, but you seem to be maybe at peace as much as ever before. Is that true?
It is. I really love this place. I work for a great AD. They have shown how much they're going to support this program, and they want to be really good, and they've helped me, and anything and everything that we've asked for, they've done. And then the players, it's fun to come to work every day whenever you have a group like this that is really bought into what we're doing.
Joey McGuire with us, Texas Tech football coach. So when you're at night and you're winding down, is it a screened back porch that you sit and just watch everything calm down for the rest of the night?
Yeah. It's you can kind of open up the back porch, so it's enclosed, but you can slide the doors open, and right now watching like we started right now, I don't know how much I'm going to sleep this week watching Coach Grimes in this Baylor offense, man. They're really running the football, and Richard Reese has become just a guy that just chews up yardage. So I'll be sitting on that back porch maybe having nightmares of what we're about to face.
You guys put up a bunch of numbers. You play hard. Sometimes when you hear about a team plays hard, that means they're not very good. But you guys are 4-3. You just manhandled West Virginia. Is that something, wherever you've been, that is a DNA of a Joey McGuire team is playing hard?
Yeah, that's the number one thing that we talk about is that we're an effort-based program. And that what's happening is the guys that are playing their best, they're also practicing that hard. So it's translating into Saturday, which is really good because we're having more and more guys buy in. But, I don't see how you can play this game without giving great effort. And, I think you've seen that. You definitely saw it last year with the Big 12 champs of how hard those guys played. Mm-hmm. In 2019, I go back to that group, how hard those guys played, and I always felt like my Cedar Hill teams played hard, and I just got lucky to be a part of staffs with Rule and Aranda to where that's such a fixture of how hard you play and the effort you practice with translates.
Joey, coaches, once the season begins, you guys go into almost a bunker. Around town, yes, you're Joey McGuire in Lubbock. How often do you at all talk to opposing coaches? Like in high school, you probably could pick up the phone and call somebody. Do you do that in college?
No, not really. I've talked to Sean a little bit. I've talked to Wetzel, just, seeing how he's doing, really kind of checking on Skylar. They're having a great year. He's coaching at Denton Guyer, and so, but not a lot. It's a little bit different. I think, I usually, whenever I played, not usually, it was every week. When you were playing somebody in high school, you called them, and kind of went over everything that was going on in college. That really doesn't happen. So, I haven't really talked to anybody that we've played.
How much do you love your license plate? Take 3.
Well, let me go ahead and tell you this. Me and our DB coach, Marcel Yates, he goes, every time you drive that car up here and I see the take 3, it makes me sick because we haven't created turnovers. And then, we created 4 turnovers yesterday. And he goes, okay, you're okay to drive it today. And so, literally, and he was giving Debbie a hard time because Debbie got it for me for my birthday and the license plate. And he was like, Debbie, I think you've cursed us. And so it was good to create some turnovers on Saturday.
Yeah, it's your defensive model. Last question. Saturday night in Lubbock, Texas. We all know that it's a place that at night especially, it's always a great place, a home crowd, but a night game, an evening game, Patrick Mahomes being honored, Baylor in town. Can you even try to describe what it might be like?
No, it's funny. Cody Campbell, whenever we played who's on our Board of Regents and played at Texas Tech. When we played Texas and it was a sellout, he goes, I can't wait. I talked to him the night before, and he goes, I can't wait for you to experience the sellout and what Jones is like. And it was incredible. But last night I had probably 5 or 6 people saying, man, I can't wait for you to experience a night game in Jones, AT&T, and it being a sellout, and Pat being back in town, it's going to be a great crowd and a great atmosphere.
Joey, I appreciate your time as always. Have a great week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Joey McGuire, Texas Tech football coach on 365 Sports.